The Baltimore Police Department is facing a set of allegations outlined in a new federal filing. Gary Cullins from our Spotlight on Maryland team has obtained a copy of the lawsuit and is pushing Mayor Brandon Scott for answers tonight.
A 22-page complaint filed by a now terminated Baltimore crime scene supervisor alleges that he was fired after he sounded the alarm inside the agency over 26,000 unprocessed crime scene fingerprints. According to his lawsuit, Kenneth Phillips was a 47-year law enforcement veteran who had a prior career as a Department of Defense scientist before becoming a Baltimore Police forensic supervisor. In the 22-page lawsuit, Phillips said he observed a pattern of mismanagement of evidence inside BPD. He claims he made multiple complaints internally after finding 26,000 fingerprints were unprocessed.
Hold on. Did they say 26,000 fingerprints were unprocessed?
Claim that has some shocked.
Wow, 26,000 fingerprints? That's a lot.
Allegations about the Baltimore police not processing fingerprints in a timely manner are not new. Claims date as far back as 2021. The lawsuit claims Phillips was fired after making a 75-page internal affairs complaint about the unprocessed prints and speaking to the Baltimore Sun after his concerns were not addressed. He now wants the department to pay for what he alleges was retaliation by BPD's Public Integrity Bureau.
Good morning, everyone.
We took the lawsuit's allegations to Mayor Brandon Scott during a wreath-laying ceremony commemorating Freddie Gray's arrest a decade ago. About 8 years ago, the consent.
Okay. That whole Freddie Gray thing was a fiasco of epic proportions. While the man did not deserve to be murdered in the heinous fashion that he was, at the same time, he was no angel.
Consent decree became a thing here in Baltimore. In 2022, as I'm sure your office is aware, there's about 26,000 fingerprints that were not processed by BPD. Sources told us just this morning that this situation is still ongoing. What actions has your office taken to address these ongoing problems?
So I know you weren't here, and we know that you guys have a inability to not understand what kind of moment you're in right now. But I'm going to look past that for a second. The Baltimore Police Department has improved tremendously since 2015, and we'll continue to do that. Every part of the department, whether it is evidence and fingerprints.
I think it is something that we've been concerned about.
Social justice activist Kwame Rose spoke with Spotlight on Maryland.
Even if you go back to 2015, when the consent decree was enacted, they did all of these meaningless community input sessions, but never implemented any of the community's suggestions.
Rose, who...
Yeah. Okay. Baltimore PD, a notorious cesspool going all the way back to the Wire series with Stringer Bell and those boys. A lot of that within Baltimore PD was actually going on. And to be fair, it's a tough district. You know, does that mean you should be corrupt and you should be killing citizens and, you know, running rampant and this and that? No, not at all. That conduct is actually worse, in my view, when the city is as chaotic as a place like that is. And I don't know if it's gotten worse or better, but I know it's been pretty bad historically.
Who took to the streets 10 years ago with many residents following Freddie Gray's death, said in January that a flurry of lawsuits against BPD's internal affairs was concerning.
I've got friends who decided to become police officers. That doesn't mean I agree with their choice, but when they try to speak up, I mean, they get silenced, they get targeted. And we knew that was the case because we saw it happen with other folks that the community trusted.
Today,
Well, here's the thing, right? Institutions like police departments, they are something that a city, a state, country, it's a necessary institution within the operation of a city. So when it's as big as a cesspool as a place like Baltimore, you know, it's going to take some time, if ever it's even possible, to even really begin to deal with the problems because it's just running rampant. if you just look at this building, I'm sure, from the, commissioner of police, all the way down to the janitor, between and everywhere in between, you're going to have problems all up and down that totem pole, right? Throughout that building, throughout every department. And it's a culture, you know. And in a city that size, and with as many problems as it has, no matter how well intending a mayor may be, you're taking on a gigantic institutional problem with something like this.
Citizens continue to be alarmed by similar lawsuits.
It needs to be addressed.
So with the
out here now, they're gonna get away with a lot of stuff because you don't have their fingerprints.
Kenneth Phillips' attorneys told Spotlight on Maryland that neither they nor their client have a comment about the case at this time. I'm Gary Collins with Spotlight.
Yeah. The problems like this running rampant in a place like Baltimore, I can't imagine, to be honest. Yeah, I can't imagine. It's got to be horrible. If you're a criminal and you're looking at trying to beat a case, well, maybe Baltimore was a place for you. And who knows, maybe that's why it's such a cesspool now as far as the drugs and whatnot. Apparently that's where Hunter Biden was going to meet his dealer. Baltimore. I think his name was Pookie or Junebug or something like that, according to the affidavits that they had with some of his transcribed phone calls or text messages to his wife while they were investigating him for his conviction that he was later on pardoned for. So yeah, I'm not even sure, to be honest, that you can turn around a place like that. The mayor there in Baltimore was concerned about commemorating the death of one Freddie Gray. And again, while that was tragic, unnecessary, uncalled for, unexcused, it's not like it was some kind of a serious community leader or something like that, He was pretty much just a local dope dealer. Apparently, I guess he had one too many run-ins with the local police, and I'm not sure if they intended to kill him, but for whatever reason, that's how things ended up going. And now he's being used as a focal point for an entire community movement, which does have some legitimate grievances, right? Like, I'm sure the people in Baltimore could use some kind of relief. The reality is, though, it's going to have to come from you. Baltimore is actually a chocolate city, and you're talking racism, right? So what's the deal there? Folks are going to have to tighten up their game and really start to pull things together. Otherwise, and if I were living in Baltimore, this would probably be on my agenda, and that is to leave, right? Like, if you got a family and you're really looking at having some kind of stable life or something of that nature, my advice will be to leave a cesspool like that, and really never enter unless you have to, and unless you got something really going for yourself that justifies that. But moving into districts like these, no good. No good.